Hello,
Hi,
everybody.
welcome everybody. We're so excited that you joined us tonight for Pink and the Pink, and we're excited to have girlfriends. Hey, Bridget. Hey, Cindy. Welcome, y'all. It's gonna be
So
fun
excited to be here.
tonight. So I got some hot tea because it is cold. It's snowing in Florida, if you have not heard, right? This is the big news, all
Crazy.
right? And so I got my little snow bunny and my hot tea, and I'm just excited, y'all. And we just want you guys to feel that you are sitting around like a warm, cozy couch with your favorite little cozy blanket, and having some chat with your girlfriends. Truly, by the end of this, you're going to feel like we're your girlfriends. And we do. And we just all have a passion to see women be everything that God designed them to be. And that's why we do these calls. And the woman who invited you here, I know she feels that way. She sees something in you, maybe something you don't even see in yourself, but she wants you to just live your best life. And she wanted to invite you to hear how maybe Mary Kate could help you do that. So what I'd love for y'all to start and put in the chat is just where you're from. Want to hear where you're from. Let's see if there's any other Florida snowbirds with me. But where are you coming in from? And then the other thing I'd love for y'all to put in the chat is, what do you feel like you want or need more of in your life right now? Like whatever season that you're in, maybe you're single, maybe you're planning a wedding, maybe you're having your first baby, maybe you have teenagers and we need to pray extra for you. Let us know if that's you. Maybe you're a new empty nester. Maybe you're taking care of aging parents. Maybe you're feeling lonely after COVID and you feel like you should be out of it. But the reality is that you're like longing for girlfriends, and that's where you're at. And you can share as much as you want, but I want you to be honest with yourself, because that's how you're going to get the most out of this conversation tonight. Is, what do you want and need more of most in your life right now? And as we're sharing different things, I would just I encourage you to be open, like let your spirit just speak to you. And I just want to challenge you to not be distracted. I know we live in a very distracted world, but I just implore you to just pause for these next few minutes and stop doing whatever you're doing. Even if you got to go lock yourself in the bathroom, the car, in a closet, it doesn't matter. But you owe it to yourself, and you owe it to your family and your future, quite frankly, to really just like pause and listen to something that you may never have realized could impact your life. And I know all three of us felt like that, is that we would have never thought. Bridget was just sharing right before we, went live, how God has a sense of humor. Like, this was not what we thought would be our path, but it was. And I know all of us at one point had to listen, and God brought it at the right time. So I know that if you're on tonight, this is the perfect time that God wanted you to hear this message. So let's go ahead and start with Bridget. I'm so excited, Bridget, that you're here to get to know you better. 22 years that you have been building your Mary Kay business, phenomenal. So tell us a little bit about, how did that start 22 years ago? How did Mary Kay find you? Where were you at? And tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And is anybody here tonight feel like they need some hope? If you need hope, just drop in the chat the word hope. Okay. And it can be hope. It can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but that's exactly why I'm here. I'm here because of hope. I started my Mary Kate journey at 25 years old. I actually was very much an introvert by nature, very, very introverted, to the point where I couldn't order pizza on the telephone. Cindy knows that part of my story. I worked in a doctor's office. I was newly married. But we both worked, but we were living what we call paycheck to paycheck. We were poor between paychecks, and we just had more month than money. Have you ever felt that way? Anybody in the chat feel that way? More month than money. And so there were seasons and months where we went with like very little for groceries. And my best friend from high school had started her Mary Kay business, and I didn't know it. And we were struggling, and I'd been praying like, Lord, like, what else can we do to make extra money for our family? We were both working. I didn't really want to go out and get another job if I didn't have to. I was already 40 hours away from my home, every single week. And so we were in the grocery store the week before I saw my friend, and we had $26 in change. And I'll never forget it. We were on aisle 8. I'll never forget that. And 8's a new beginning in the Bible. So I think there was a purpose for that. And so we were on aisle 8, and I remember my husband bringing food to the basket, and I was adding up on my little calculator because we didn't have cell phones then. I'm aging myself. And we didn't have enough money. And so we had to put food back. And I just remember thinking in that moment in that aisle, like, I don't know what I'm going to have to do different, but I'm not going to live this way. Yeah. And I don't know if any of you are in a season where you're like, I'm not going to live this way. And I don't know what your season looks like, but for me, I was tired of living that way. Mm-hmm. And so fast forward, my friend came and told me about Mary Kay, and she asked me a key question. She said, where do you see yourself in a year? And I just thought to myself, oh my stars, I don't know, but not here. Have y'all ever felt that way? Anybody feel that way right now? Like, I don't know, but not here. And no one had ever asked me that question before. Where do you see yourself in a year? I think we just live day to day, sometimes moment to moment, breath to breath. And we don't think, wow, like, where do I want to be in a year? Like, it's a new year. It's a perfect time to be thinking that. And so I just thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. And so even though I never ran a business, I even used rubbing alcohol for my skincare, y'all. I didn't even know what skincare was. I used chapstick and mascara. That was like going out makeup. And I just give all girls hope that, God really does has a sense of humor. And I had no business running a business, but you know what? I knew I was coachable and teachable. And I thought, you know what? If I want to change where I am, the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So, and if I wanted something different, I had to do something different. And so within 5 months of starting my Mary Kay business, I'd replaced my income, and I'll tell more of my story later, but that's kind of the beginning.
I love it. Okay, so just a couple things I want to make sure people did not miss. First of all, I'm like cracking up when you said rubbing alcohol. I'm like, oh my gosh, that I know will give some ladies hope for sure. And we got you covered, ladies. With the best number one skincare, right? But I just love that you want to give people hope, and that question is so powerful. Where do you see yourself in a year from now? And it's so true that we sometimes can just get in survival mode, trying to get through the day. Oh my gosh, what is on the week? But we do want to be thinking about our future. And I would just also add to that, if not Mary Kay, what would it be, right? Like Bridget, for you, it was like you tried this, you didn't know. And how many of us don't know? And I think that I love that verse in Proverbs, God will direct our path, but we have to move our feet, right? Like we have to be willing to take that step of faith for God to then open that door and give us that. And so some of you probably are praying right now, right? You're praying for a way to make more income so that you're not in that same place. But if you don't have a plan, what? Because the reality is, like Bridget said, you'll wake up a year from now in the same place if you change nothing. That's the reality. That's just the truth, right? We're your friends, and we're going to tell you the truth tonight. All right. So I want to talk about money a little bit. And I want to ask you guys a question about this. And Cindy, I'll start with you first with this one. So, I'm around a lot of, just ambitious business women outside of Mary Kay. And, one of the things I really, really do notice is like the number one thing they're craving is community. And I see that actually a lot of these women pay for community, like pay a lot of money for community. And I was thinking about this as I was, in a community thing earlier this week, thinking, wow, Mary Kay, we are so blessed because we actually not only have a community that we don't pay for, we actually get paid to be in the community. So, I know I came in because I needed cash, but I never expected to find the most generous, loving, faith-filled, ambitious, but kind women that I wanted to be like. And that is priceless. So I want to talk about how it's so amazing that we can have incredible income, have the freedom, but also have this community. Like we get the best of both. We like get to eat the cake and eat it too, right? As they like we want that. So I want to just see practically how Mary Kay has helped us finance goals. And what I'd like y'all to put in the chat is, what's a goal right now that you need finance for? What's something in your life that you've said for 2025? It could be a trip with your kids. It could be remodeling your home, something. But what do you need money for right now? And so, Cindy, let me start with you. I'd love for you to share, and then Bridget, you too. But I'd love for you to share, like, what's something when you first started Mary Kay that like, what's something that Mary Kay first helped you finance, just getting started, and then what's something maybe like over time as you built your business, Mary Kay has helped you finance.
So, well, I've financed many dreams. I like to call it financing dreams. And Mary Kay and I financed many in my 22 years, almost 23. Bridget and I came in almost exactly at the same time. Yours is October, Bridget. Is it October, Bridget?
No, it's August.
August. Okay. So mine is February 14th. So I'll be 23 years, February 14th. But, and we've grown up together. Bridget and I have grown up together. Her adopted sales director is my senior sales director. And so I mean, we have seen each other through like as brand new consultants to beginning directors. And so it's just been really cool just to do this journey with Bridget. And that kind of goes back to the community and the connection that you make with other women. And I do feel like God made us for community for sure. And we are better because of the people that we surround ourselves with. And but just like Bridget, I was living month to month on my paycheck. I was a teacher. I was young and single. I was not married, but I was living month to month. And sometimes there was more month than there was money. And so I had built up quite a bit of credit card debt, especially I was 27 when I started. And so I think all of us were in our 20s when we started, but I was 27 and I was in a sorority that I was, paying for the community that I was talking about. I had been in a sorority, which I loved, but I was in a lot of weddings. And so that costs a lot. There's I had some bridesmaid debt, and so I built up $8,000 in credit card debt. And it wasn't because I was going shopping all the time. It was just life, right? I only had enough to pay for like my rent and my car, and gas, and that's it. And so if there was a wedding I was in, it would go on a credit card, right? And so that is where I was. And it was such a heavy burden, right? Like, have y'all ever felt that financial burden? Like, and that doesn't even count my student loans. That's just credit card debt, right? And so just that weight, and I was just not happy, right? And never imagined that Mary Kay would have been, the answer to my prayers. I was praying for something like Bridget, right? I never thought it would be Mary Kay. Like Bridget, I didn't wear makeup. I wore Carmex and mascara on a good day, and I did not wash my face with rubbing alcohol.
All I could afford.
But I could afford different stuff. Like, I didn't have a routine, right? But so I really got in for the money. That's really why I got in. But I was also looking towards my future. Now, nobody asked me, where do you see yourself in 1 year or 5 years? I know, Amy, you were asked that, but I was looking towards my future. I knew I wanted to have babies, and I knew I wanted to be able to stay home with my kids. And I was like, if I could build this now, and then when I have kids, I can retire from teaching and stay home with my kids, but still have adult time and something that brings home income. Well, I started putting all of my sales profit into my credit card debt because all I could pay was the minimum balance when I started my Mary Kay business before Mary Kay, right? All I could pay was the minimum balance. And that doesn't really pay much, right? And so I put in all my profit. And I gave myself a year to pay off $8,000 in credit card debt, and it took 4 months.
Woo! That's awesome.
4 months. So that is when it really dawned on me, wow, like this can really help me financially. I thought it was just going to be an extra $100 a week. And then I realized, wow, just working it 5 to 10 hours a week, I was able to pay off $8,000 in credit card debt in my first 4 months. So that's my first my first dream I financed. What about you, Bridget?
Well, you heard my grocery story, so I won't go there. But I will say, I didn't grow up with a family that ever had savings. We always never had enough. And so I didn't know. And I hope this is relatable to somebody, or actually, I hope it actually isn't, but I'm sure somebody on here is going to feel this way. Is like, I didn't know what excess felt like. I had never had savings. My family didn't have savings. We lived month to month my whole life. And so whenever I started making money, I literally thought the question, what do you do with it? I did not know what to do with money because I never had it. And so when I was able to buy a washing machine without a credit card, like that was epicness. I think we often forget that $200 to $300 extra a month is life-changing money.
It is.
But I do want to say that my grandmother was my whole world. And one thing that I was able to finance through my Mary Kay business that I'm most proud of is I've always said, ladies, that money does not buy happiness, but it buys choices. And the choices it buys you makes you happy, my friends. And so I am not driven by money. I'll be abundantly clear about that, but I'm driven all day long for choices. And my grandmother was my safe place. She was my everything that took care of me my whole life. And when she got older, she lived on Social Security alone. And she had $200 left a month out of her Social Security check. And so I was the only one in my family, because of Mary Kay, that could take care of her. And I can say, to the day that she went to be with the Lord, she never wanted for anything within reason that I could give her. And to take her to the grocery store and her little eyes look at me and ask me if she had a budget, and me able to tell her no, she could buy anything she wanted, when she grew up her whole life widowed and never had anything. I even gave her my first diamond ring that I earned from Mary Kay. And like she said, I've never had a diamond ring before. And so you guys, I'm telling you, like, the choices that money, whether tiny, bigger, huge, like these choices are things that like stir your soul. And you're so grateful that you took the chance on yourself to have the excess. Because had I not taken a chance on myself and it would have stayed in that same place, Granny would have never had the things she needed in her life. And I'm so grateful I was the one person in my family that made the choice to do something different, to have the excess, to be able to help her.
So good. You got Cindy crying over there and bringing the tissues already. I love it, y'all. And how many of you? I'd love y'all to put it in the chat if you would like to share this. But like, is there someone in your life that you would love to bless? Right? You know, I think we are. I always say, Lord, help us, bless us so we may be a blessing. Right? Like that's one of our family prayers, and we get to do that. And I agree that sometimes, depending on how you grew up, we all have some type of feeling about money. And money is not bad. Money can be used as a resource to be a great blessing. Well, I'll flip it on the other side. I'm just going to sound really vain, y'all. But I grew up and I always wanted nice things. I grew up, my parents used to joke, we don't know where you came from, Amy, because nobody had nice things in our family. And so I got like my first job at a country club because I wanted to be around people that were rich. And I babysat for very rich families. I just always like wanted this like abundant life. And God just gave me that vision very early on. So when we were right when I had started Mary Kay, I was getting ready to plan a wedding. And my parents gave me a budget, the same budget they gave my sister, which was very small. I'm like, this does not fit my vision, Mom and Dad. And so I was also paying off student loans from college. And so I realized, man, I'm going to go in more debt with this wedding if I don't do something. And so Mary Kay really was able to give me that dream wedding. I had my fairy tale wedding. And my mom and I still joke today because she's like, you don't need seat covers. I'm like, Mom, that's only 2 appointments. I went and held 2 Mary Kay appointments and I did my seat covers. I wanted the horse and carriage. I did a party, got my horse and carriage. Like it was such motivation, y'all. And so whatever you need in your life right now, whether it's like you need to pay the bills or it's frivolous, like you can go out there and let that be your motivation. And then I remember making my first goal poster and I wanted a home on the water. And that became, I was taught early on in my business, have one eye on the immediate, right? Like there's stuff we need immediate right now cash for, and then have one eye on the long term. You know, what's that long term? So I always had a big dream I was working towards. And that's still today, right? Like now I do have my home on the water, and now I'm working towards my next big dream, my next $1 million dream of having an outdoor experience resort in my backyard. So, you know, there's always these things that Mary Kay can help you finance. So I just want to say, y'all, to dream big. You know, a lot of times when we come into Mary Kay, we don't know that. And Mary Kay teaches you that there's more than just surviving. There's more than just paying the bills. There's more than just $200 a month. Maybe that's all it's going to start out to be, but it can grow into something really amazing. And I truly believe that God is doing something amazing. I believe there's a revival going on in the business world, and that we are called. If God has given you the gift to lead, if God has given you the gift to sell and make money, then we have a responsibility as the kingdom builders to build the kingdom and to fund things. So along the way, I have gotten to fund ministries and things I'm passionate about. And I think that we're called to do that. So don't waste your gift. I want to say that. Right. So Cindy, let me ask you the question. We have touched on the friendship piece and the sisterhood that we have. Can you just touch on how this is unique? Like how our community, our sisterhood is unique. And Bridget, love to hear your thoughts on that too.
Well, yes. I mean, you know, I was telling you guys before we hopped on that I've been doing a lot of MK Q&As, you know, sharing, answering questions about the business. And one of the things that I ask everybody is, you know, out of all the things that you have heard, you know, about Mary Kay, what do you feel like that you would enjoy the most out of this business, right? And 9 times out of 10, it's the friendships in the community. right? And I feel like that God really did make us for community. I mean, think about it. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, like that's a community right there, right? Like he made us for community. And I feel like, especially with COVID and just the isolation that so many people have felt, being kind of separated from everybody else, what's been so sweet with Mary Kay is that we can be isolate, like we can be in our homes, working from our homes, but we still have community with people all over the nation, right? And what's been interesting, especially through COVID, what's been interesting is I have found that my team has gotten even closer and more intimate because we really have this desire to have that community. And when it was ripped away from us, going out and working a job, right? It just drew people in to have this, because we can connect with people over the country. And I know Bridget works strictly, virtually, but we can still have it even working virtually, right? And making those connections. But I really truly believe that the isolation, the depression, the anxiety, all of that are tools that the enemy has used to keep us in not in an unhopeful place, right? Like a place that we have kind of lost hope. And I tell my people, and Bridget kind of shared this earlier, is that we are ambassadors of hope and joy and light in this dark world, this dark, broken world. And we can use our Mary Kay business to share, like to connect, to bring hope back into people's lives. And I really truly believe that we are like the 5 people that we surround ourselves with. And, Bridget and I have not probably been in the same place in years, probably five plus years, right? But we have grown so close and worked so closely together over these last 5 years and built such a strong, intimate friendship. Because of Mary Kay. And I probably would have never met Bridget. She doesn't live in my community, right? And so I wouldn't have ever met you, Amy, if it wasn't for Mary Kay. And so we all live in different places, and we've got people all over the country. And so I love the opportunity the culture that is really set apart. I really do believe it's set apart.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Bridget? Do you have any stories of just how this has been a blessing to you with our community or sisterhood or friendships?
Yes, I will say that anytime I poll my consultants that are in my unit, like, what's your favorite thing about this company? Of course, the money, all that's great, but it's always the friends. It's always the community every single time. And I will say, when COVID happened, I've always cherished the friendships. It was the greatest surprise that I got out of my business. Honestly, I didn't come in for that. I think that most people come into Mary Kay for one reason and they stay for another, to be quite honest. And while I did come in for the money, and the money, I love the freedom of that, I have been so grateful for the girlfriends. Honestly, when I look at my life right now, because as we mature, sometimes we like change our friend circles and things change, and how God just shifts that. And I feel like that God knew I needed Mary Kay. Like I needed it. I needed it for me. I needed it for my heart. I needed it for community. I have a very tiny family. And I remember one of our Mary Kay nationals one time saying, her mom said to her, she said, I know you're going to be okay because you have your Mary Kay family when I'm gone. And I thought, wow, what a powerful statement, because that's how I feel. I feel like I can call my girlfriend and say, hey, I need you. And they'd be on the way to me, And so over the last 5 years, I've had a lot of health challenges that really, I've kind of almost been locked in my house since COVID. And it's kind of hard to fathom that I've also lost like 5 years of my life, like with the outside world. And so I've been forever grateful for the community and the friendships that have really sustained me, prayed for me, been there for me in a season when it's been super challenging. So sometimes, again, just like the money, you don't really know how precious those things are sometimes until you're put under fire. And then you just realize how incredibly important those gifts were. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cherished gifts. I agree with everything y'all said. Yeah. I remember even just first starting out when this when I was planning my wedding, and we had 3 Mary Kay ladies drive like 9 hours to do my makeup. One of them was like their anniversary, so they didn't even get to stay for the wedding, y'all, and like turned back around, but they wanted to be there for me. Another woman drove from Texas to sing in my wedding. It really showed me, and I remember it was such a like an eye-opening season because I was so disappointed by my bridesmaids, these girlfriends I had been there for, and I thought, hey, this is an important time. Now they're going to step up. And that wasn't the case. And it was these new Mary Kay girlfriends. And it made such an impact. Even my father, during his speech at my wedding, touched on it. Like, it was huge. And I mean, I had only been in Mary Kay a year at that time. So it was really, I saw it very early on, just the type of women. So I would just say to our guests, if you're looking for like-minded women who want to make an impact, who love the Lord, or who want to grow in their faith, then this is a great community to be a part of. That not only that you're going to thrive, and women will help you discover gifts, and they will stretch you to be what God called you to be. Yeah. And they're not going to just let you sit on the sideline of your life and just settle. Like, that's not who we are. We're going to call out the greatness in you, and we're going to expect you to rise to that occasion. And I think all of us can say we have become the women that we are because of having women call us out. So as we start to wrap up today, Bridget, I would love for you just to share anything else that's on your heart about how this can give women more freedom, how this can really be that beacon of hope in their life.
Yeah. So I want to share just one thing. If any of you that are married on here, or Amy talked about her dreams of her dream home on the water, and then her amazing oasis in her backyard. I always dreamed of getting my husband home. And I know Cindy has a very similar story. Mm-hmm. And my husband worked in a job that he would come home and say, Bridget, I can't do it anymore. Like, the stress load is just too much. And I could see it on him. And I kind of really didn't have a husband. He would come home and have to mind numb, like play games on his phone just to come down out of the stress. He was in a construction career, running huge projects, building stadiums. And I could see the toll it was taking on him and on us, quite frankly, because he really wasn't home. And so when COVID hit, he lost his 30-year construction career job because they just let a lot of people go. And he had just gotten a raise and a promotion the month before. And I was sitting in my prayer chair when he walked in the door, and he said, Bridget, I just lost my job. It was 11:30. I remember hearing the garage door and thinking, that's weird. Why is he home at 11:30? And he just looked at them. He came in the bedroom and he said, I just lost my job. And y'all, let me tell you something. I prepared for the rain my whole Mary Kay career. And he walked in the door and I said, we're going to be just fine. And he needed to hear me say that. And so do y'all know that fast forward about 3 months, we were into the pandemic, just trying to figure all that out. My granny was passing and all this stuff. And he said, I think I'm going to start my own business. And I said, I think that's amazing. So I was able to fund him starting his own dream business. So now he's a drone pilot. He has not had to go back to that stressful career. So we're both entrepreneurs now. We both get to live our dream. And that only was possible because he watched me build my dream for so long. He believed he could do it too. And then we were able to fund that because of my Mary Kay dream. And so for the little couple that couldn't afford groceries, Mary Kay really did allow us to go a long way. And I think that's probably my greatest freedom story, because it gave us both freedom.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. I love that. I know that right there that inspired so many people and gave so many people hope, because when you guys step out and you step out of your comfort zone and you do this business, what your kids see, what your husband sees, all these people around you, you give them permission for them to dream again. It's so powerful. Like, you can be that light in your family. You can be that change agent, that generational change. So, well, we are so excited that you are here. We would love to invite you to be a part of this community, to be a part of our sisterhood and our family. That's what we truly feel like. It's an extended family. We'd love to see how we can come alongside of you and help support you in financing whatever those goals and dreams are. And I want you just to take a look back to that very first thing that I asked you is, what do you want or need more of in your life right now? And out of everything you heard tonight, do you feel like Mary Kay could fill that, whether it's finances or creating more freedom in your schedule, more margin to be able to design your life, or just to be a part of this incredible sisterhood that is unmatched to anything? So Cindy, would you just tell them how they can get started and join us?
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing that you can have all of this and more than you'd ever imagined, right? This, I know for Amy, Bridget, and I, and so many in Mary Kay, that making that one financial decision to start our business, 20 plus years ago, that we could have never, ever dreamt or imagined the lives that we get to live today because of that one decision. And all of us started, it was $100 to start when all of us started 20 something years ago. And right now, you can actually make that one decision for only $35, which blows my mind, right? $35, you can decide to just take one step forward into this business and see what this business has to offer. You know, I tell my consultants all the time that what this business is like this beautifully wrapped gift. And what our job to do is to just share the gift. It's not for everybody. It's not. We don't believe that. We know that it's not for everybody, but it is up to us to share, and it's up to the person to open it up and find out what's inside for them. And we've all found such incredible things in that gift of Mary Kay. Like, we've all found incredible things in it, more than we could have ever imagined. And so you can have the gift of Mary Kay for just $35, and it includes your website for your first full year. It includes your ProPay, which is your credit card processing. It includes all the education and shopping for yourself at a discount, like all that stuff, making that profit on your sales. I mean, it includes everything basically that you need to work your business, at least virtually. And then there's some other options if you want to upgrade and get some product in a starter kit to use to demo at your appointments. But it's a $35 decision, will not change your pocketbook very much, but it could absolutely change your life. And if you wrote down anything, you know, in the beginning of what you feel like you need more of right now, and it feels like it fits into what we've shared today. Maybe it's finances, maybe it's freedom and flexibility, maybe it is friendships, whatever it might be, then you owe it to yourself to at least try. Right? Amy often says, I believe everybody should just try for at least a year and see. And it's like a continuous self-help course you get paid for. So you will get better, like no matter what, whether you stay for 50 years or whether you stay for a year, you will be better because of it. Mm-hmm. And so we do love decision makers. And so $35, you're going to put an A, B, or C in the drop in the comments, okay, in the chat. And it's either going to be A is absolutely like, what do I have to lose? I mean, the worst case scenario is you get your product for 50% off. Like, that's the worst thing that could happen, right? Like, what do I have to lose? So that's A. B is, you know what? I've got some questions. Like, let's, book me for an MKQ&A. I've got a few questions that I want to have answered. Okay. And then C is, you know what? I'm so happy just being your customer and supporting you in your small business. And we absolutely love our customers, and we would not have a business without you. So we are thankful for every response, but thank you for taking the time, 30 minutes out of your day to listen and learn a little bit more, to hear our stories. Don't you just love people's stories? I just love them. To hear our stories. And we hope that maybe it was a little bit of an inspiration and gave you a little bit of hope today. So thank you guys so much, and y'all have a blessed day. Bye.
Everybody.